Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today, we're looking at box number 43. We're going to start with some Crisis, and we're going to do some Cyborg and some Cyclops, and then we'll get into the Ds, and we will eventually get into a little bit of Daredevil. So I'm so glad you're here. Please like or comment and subscribe and let me know how you like it or what you don't like, or let me know what you think. If there's anything inside of one of these packs that you'd like for me to open up and do a video on what's inside, or a short series that you'd like to see every issue of, be sure to comment on that. But for now, here we go with box number 43. All right, here we go. We start with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the big miniseries from the mid 80s. It reconstructed DC's continuity. This was a big honking deal when I was 15 years old and it was coming out. So it's a favorite of mine. Of course, the artwork is by George Perez, who is my favorite. So big honking deal. So that's issue 1, packaged through issue 4 right there, and issue 5 right there. Crazy how just all the heroes there through issue 9 right there. Random facsimile I got of issue 8 for some reason. Don't know why I did that. It's from a few years ago. Then we go back to the main series. We got issue 10 is a little bit bigger an issue. You know, it used to be 8 and 9 that were the big issues. Now issue 10 is the big deal. Right there. Got issue 11. Starting to wrap things up. And issue 12. Everybody getting in on the fight with the Anti-Monitor there. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I'm mildly interested in the Crossgen publisher, but I haven't gotten a lot of their books. But I've got a couple of these little one shots or whatever smatterings. So this is one of them, Crossgen Chronicles #1, right there. And Crossgen Primer, or Primer, as some would say. There, Wizard. Then from Crisis, we go to somewhat of an equivalent. For First Publishing, they did this Crossroads series where each of their books would cross over with one of their other features. So, for example, this is Whisper and Sable, and that's the first issue of the 5. The next issue, which is the only other one I have so far, is Sable and Badger. So in theory, the next one is Badger and somebody else, and it'll come back around to Whisper, I guess. But I pick these up when I can, when I find them. And we go to Crucible. So from the Impact Comics line that we talked about, Comet in the last video. The Red Circle heroes licensed by DC. This was like a last, kind of wrapped up the whole thing. Crucible, the Final Impact miniseries, issue 1. And that ran through issue 6. There. But beforehand, before you get to the Crucible, you get the Crusaders. which has always been the Mighty Crusaders has always been the name of the super team when those red circle characters team up together. So this was a team up of all of the versions that DC was doing in their Impact line. So Crusaders number 1 through Crusaders number 8. Fireball. Right there. We've got from DC, we've got Crush and Lobo. Crush is the daughter of Lobo that was introduced over in their Teen Titans book, and this is their kind of really their first major storyline together. They're not a very loving family, but this is the mini-series for them. It runs through issue 8. They resolve their differences and team up. I have got a couple of comics that one of them my mother picked up at an antique store for me one time, and I hate it that I don't remember which one it is, but it was one of these sort of Marvel horror books because she just didn't really know what I collected, and so I sort of prized them all because, hey, I don't know which one it is, so I'm going to consider each of them that. So we got Crypt of Shadows number 5 right there. For you horror fans. Then we've got where they did some one-shots. Marvel has recently been doing some one-shots, you know, kind of preserving the name. Some multiple stories in the book. This is the one from recently. And another recent Crypt of Shadows. There. Got Cursed Comics Cavalcade, one of DC's recent one-shots. I think it's kind of a new talent showcase kind of thing. They do these about a few times a year, and it's just little short stories, little one-shots. I'm not really sure what the publishing strategy is on that, but got different features in there. This one is for Halloween. We've got from the New Age of Heroes, we've got Brimstone. The New Age of Heroes was a line of comics featuring new versions or new heroes, and part of the behind the scenes thing was that the creators, the artists, got a certain ownership in the characters. Unfortunately, most of them didn't last very long, and they probably won't be brought back because the artists will get a cut of whatever, the original artist will get a cut of whatever profits are made from the use of the character. But anyway, that's issue 1, and that runs through issue 8. This one was kind of a horror book. This guy would magically turn into this sort of fire elemental when magic was afoot and evil was afoot. Not at all like Ghost Rider. Issue 9 goes up against Dr. Fate. Right there. Issue 12 is all tied into Dark Knight's metal with the Dark Multiverse, so that it wasn't coming out of completely left field there. And that series had an annual with Swamp Thing and Constantine. So there you go. If you're Swamp Thing fans, might want to look into that. I have at times picked up a few of those, like I say, those Image superhero books, just for the fun of it. We've got Cyberforce right here. So this is issue 0, and that I've got that through issue 3, right there. What's that guy? Lots of pouches. Lots of. This is Mark Silvestri, doing that. Ripclaw. Can't remember this guy's name. Mr. No-Nose. Got and then that was like a mini series, and then we get to their regular series coming through now, an ongoing series, Cyberforce. And then issue 1, and I've got through issue 4 of that. I stumble across, the next issue somewhere, I might get that. Got Cyberforce X-Men #1, little cross-company crossover there. Good times, good times. I've got the difficult to file, these Top Cow Marvel crossovers. Some people file them under Devil's Reign, and then the chapter number. I kind of got them under the team up. So this one is Cyblade and Ghost Rider. I've got a few of these. They're all on my list, the ones I don't have. That's how I like to explore characters sometimes that I didn't ordinarily buy, is get the crossovers. And that way, if I don't like it, at least I've got one of the main Marvel or DC heroes. And we've got Cyborg in his first series that is just named Cyborg. Written, he's doing his thing there. So that's issue 1. And let's see if they can focus. And issue 8. This is an homage. This is when Neil Adams was doing a bunch of variant covers that were homages to himself, to previous classic covers that he had done. So the layout is based on an old cover of his own. That's issue 8. Got Cyborg meeting up with Shazam right here, issue 9. They're not getting along. And that series ended with issue 12. I remember it just wasn't doing well. So they brought back Cyborg's creator, Marv Wolfman, and he did like a 3-issue thing at the end, but that still wasn't enough to save the day at the time. So then we get to this Rebirth. Everybody's getting another chance. So we go to Cyborg #1 as part of that. I think it's John Semper Jr., who had done the 80s, 90s Spider-Man cartoon. He was a known creator. That's issue 1. That runs through issue 8. Right there. Go to issue 9. Versus Anomaly. Remember that guy's name is Anomaly. Anomaly. Issue 9. Go to 16 versus Singularity. Right there. Issue 17. In the aftermath of the fight with Singularity. And then that series ends with issue 23. Once again, bringing in Marv Wolfman to finish it off, but to no avail. It still gets canceled. Poor Marv. Just let him write it to begin with. Then we go to the new recent Dawn of DC series. And we've got Victor Stone coming home there, and that's issue 1. And this was always a miniseries, so they didn't need Marv Wolfman to come in and do the last issue. But that ends in issue 6. There's some sort of AI of his father roaming about. So that's issue 6. And then jumping back to Rebirth, of course, every character got a Rebirth special when the Rebirth time came along. So that's the Rebirth special that preceded the first issue of the new regular series. Then when you're done with Cyborg, of course, you need Cyclops. So that's we've got the first issue of the first Cyclops miniseries. Issue 1. We're during that new X-Men leather phase. There. That's issue 1. We're also during that time when Marvel was doing all these icons. That was, I don't know what the icons. I guess it was, like anything else, it's just branding. But they did several miniseries. There were icons. That's issue 1. And issue 4. Right there. And there were some. He had a one-shot. I don't know if this was just a trademark preservation thing. There's several characters that just have these weird random one-shots. Usually when somebody gets a weird random one-shot, that's because they're trying to, get the name, preserve the trademark and be able to prove, if anybody were to challenge it, that no, we use the name of Cyclops as an official name of a superhero on the front of our books to try to sell books, which is what you've got to do to preserve a trademark. So that's issue 1. That one shot. Is that focused? Yeah. Okay. So then we go to this Cyclops series from the all-new Marvel Now period. This is actually the Cyclops from the past who has been brought to the present, and he is going off into space to hang out with his dad, who is Corsair. There, that's issue 1. That's issue 6. That's that right there. Now we've got issue 7 right there. Of course, Corsair is kind of a space pirate, so there's this whole pirate theme to the series. And then that ends in issue 12, which is a crossover, part of the Black Vortex crossover with some of the space and mutant characters right there. Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that. That's issue 12. One issue of Cy-Gor. It's a cyborg, it's a gorilla, it's Cy-Gor. I remember reading this and not enjoying it very much. That's basically all I remember about this, not finding it that good. But hey, if a cyborg gorilla is your bag, you might want to look into Cy-Gor. And welcome to the D's, ladies and gentlemen. So we start off with Daily Bugle, a little 3-issue mini-series featuring some of the people who work at the Daily Bugle having an adventure. It's issue 1. And I guess all 3 covers are just them standing around posing, which does me no good in trying to remember the story. That Peter guy, that Parker guy that works there, I don't remember what his deal is. But anyway, that's issue 3. Then we go to Daken, not the metal band, but Daken, the Dark Wolverine, son of Wolverine, long lost son, resents his father, jumps around between being a good guy and a bad guy. It's kind of a true neutral kind of character. That's issue 1 of his. And of course, at one point, he has a little team up in issue 7 and 8 with his, or I think it continues on into 9, with his, the daughter of Wolverine, who was X-23, the clone. Collision Part 2. I think storyline was going back and forth between the 2 books. That's issue 8. Let's take a moment to look at issue 9.1. I didn't want it to be up inside a pack because then you wouldn't know whether you had it or not. this was, they would do these .1 books as kind of intro books for various series. I think they were cheaper also. I might be wrong about that, but that's 9.1. And then back to the regular series. We go to issue 9. Oh no, I thought we were teaming up. Why am I behind bars? Oh no. Big brothers. Ugh. Anyway, issue 9. We jump to issue 16. Daken becoming some sort of drug lord or something. I don't know. He's out there dressing nice, taking over crime in Los Angeles. And we know he's in Los Angeles because we have an appearance by the Runaways. Marvel's team they are the children of a bunch of villains who run away when they find that out. And they eventually come back, but we still call them the Runaways. So that's issue 17. And then that series ends with 23, with Daken having been killed and Wolverine being sad about it. So there you go. Of course, Daken would come back later and probably die again. We've got Dakota North Investigations. This was sort of she's a detective, but she's also all up in the high fashion world, the world of high fashion, and it was just kind of she's a female hard-boiled PI, and as a kid I didn't really get it, but it was kind of cool. Tony Salmon's doing art, kind of a minimalist kind of guy, which is not necessarily my favorite, but if you like hard-boiled PIs, this may be your thing. Issue 1 through issue 5. Right there. She turns up every once in a while. I think Brian Michael Bendis likes to use her sometimes. Alright, we've got Damage Zero. So this kid wakes up one day and figures out he's got these destructive powers, named himself Damage. He's on the cover in this costume quite a bit longer than before he actually ever gets a costume, and he winds up trying to seek out what his true parentage is, to understand where his powers come from. And that search took so many twists and turns that as I sit here, I can't remember what the answer is. But he will be doing some damaging along the way. But anyway, that's issue 0, part of the 0 hour thing, and then his first issue 1 there, who is Damage, and then that goes through issue 8. He spends some time with Iron Monroe, who was one of the characters that they brought in immediately after the crisis as a World War II character to somewhat kind of but not really take the place of the Golden Age Superman, and it's possible that he was Damage's father. Maybe not. That's issue 8. This was also back when it was still somewhat credible that these guys from World War II could be the parents of people who are kids today. Issue 9 continues that storyline. Iron Monroe's got his little backups going on in the back. Issue 9. We'll jump to issue 14. Damage has got a new suit, and he's hanging out with the Ray, a couple of teen heroes, kicking butt. Right there, issue 14. Issue 15, completing that picking up the pieces storyline. Damage, still doing damage. He's punchy. And that series ends with issue 20. If I recall correctly, he will get pulled into the 0 hour mini event and will be pulled to the dawn of time, and he will explode, thus becoming the Big Bang. As cray as that sounds, that's his fate. Issue 20. Then we have another character called Damage. Again, another one of the new age of heroes that we were just talking about. And he's a normal guy who turns into a big hulking monster for like an hour. Though he's on a he's on a timer, and he's a soldier as well. And so issue number 1 of Damage. He's on the run from the military. Who would have thought? So there you go. That's issue 1. That runs through issue 8. Right there. Of Damage. What's your damage, man? Well, my damage is volume 1 and volume 2. I got Damage number 9. There. It's just so funny on all these series, you know, the original artist gets an artist credit, you know, or ownership, but they all seem to jump ship pretty quick after the first 2 or 3 issues. Now that may be planned, but it just seemed like it's kind of funny to me. Anyway, issue 9, and that runs through issue 16. Damage will show up in a couple of places after that. But he did get an annual right there. See, you know, it counts down. He has an hour. He has an hour of power, man. Right there, issue 1. Got over at Marvel, we've got Damage Control. So Damage Control is a comedy book about the people who clean up after the superhero battles and the trials and tribulations they go through, both in dealing with superheroes and within the funny situations that come up in their own office. I think there at one time there was some talk about doing an actual TV series of this, but I don't think it's ever come to fruition. But yeah, so they got a mini series, issue 1 right there, going through issue 4. Somebody threw a pie. And they would always kind of try to reference some of the big crossovers that were going on. So this was during the Marvel's Inferno crossover. Issue 4, Wolverine ain't happy there. Then their next miniseries starts during the Acts of Vengeance, when all the villains start going after different heroes than they normally do. And there's Captain America hanging out with them in this issue versus the Wrecking Crew, and this one runs through issue 4. Got a kind of an homage cover to another Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Storyline, or cover rather. That's issue 4. We've got one more mini series for them, Damage Control. So that's another issue 1. Kyle Baker doing artwork. You can recognize his style, and just more of the fun haha stuff, humor, and that one runs through issue 4 right there. So, alphabetically speaking, the name of this book is Damnation, Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, so it gets put here. And this is a one-shot for Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, that takes place during this crossover called Damnation, which was a Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist, Scarlet Spider kind of crossover that happened at one point. Got Danger Trail, which is a 4-issue miniseries that I only have the first 3 issues. King Faraday, I think. What's he? No, he was kind of just one of those, adventure heroes, not a superhero, and that came from DC's old comics. And so Danger Trail was the name of his feature. Paul Gulacy, classic artist, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, doing the art. And I remember I got the first issue of this one time thinking it was just a one-shot, not realizing that it was a 4-issue series. And so I've been trying to get the other 3, and I am just up to issue 3. I still need to get issue 4 of that right there. Alphabetically speaking, we've got Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, issue 1 from not long ago, like a resurgence of the classic 90s Ghost Rider right there. Howard Mackey coming back to write. He did a lot of work on the original. So that's issue 1, and that runs through issue 4 right there. Get sure you're in focus. And that brings us to, of course, the most important D character. Not D list, but D character. So here's my facsimile of Daredevil number 1. Right there. Just, you know, I don't think I'll be owning the original. And that's mildly out of order, because of course what we should have first is -1, which is the flashback issue. Marvel did all these -1 issues that take place before the hero's first issue. So, little adventure of Daredevil, Gene Colan doing the artwork on that. Classic Daredevil artist. Put those back in the right order. And then we go to, I've got some more facsimiles or reprints. We've got this one. Shoot, I need to put the little labels on there of to say what issue they are, because it doesn't do us any good, does it? This must be from about early 70s, because it's got the window there. So do I have it on the back? Don't have it on the back either. Darn. So an issue of Daredevil. Comment if you know what issue that is. Issue 129. Now here's the original right there. This is the Man Bull. This is where we kind of get that. I start my collection of older stuff at January 1976. Other than a few, you know, facsimiles here and there, just I get for fun for the most part. So that's issue 129. Got issue 130 right there. And now what you should be possibly be getting ready for, you're getting all excited for that Frank Miller Daredevil. Well, guess what? Anybody can show you Frank Miller Daredevil, but most of those I didn't want to pay Frank Miller Daredevil prices for, so I have lots of trade paperbacks. So I do have a few. But we've got this trade right here, which includes 131 and 132, which are the next 2 issues, and, you know, after the ones we just saw. So, got that trade right there. And we take a break from Frank Miller for a while. We've got 133. Featuring, so Uri Geller was like a guy who was appearing on like all of the talk shows and everything. He was a psychic, and he knew ESP, and he made a big enough deal that they actually wrote him into a story here. So he's kind of I don't know that anybody ever proved him to be a fraud or what, but he was a popular culture kind of person, so back then. So 133, and that runs through 137 right there. And 138 must have been in that trade, because the next one is 139. We've got Gil Kane doing some art. You always know your Gil Kane there. And 142, Daredevil going up against Cobra and Mr. Hyde, Hornhead's deadliest duo there. 142. that story continues in 143. Daredevil fighting a lion. He's a lion and he's mad. At 143 through 145. There, deadly as the owl by night. Then I guess there must be another in Frank Miller in 146 because my next is 147. There. And so we can't hit him in this darkness. How does he keep nailing us? Because he's blind, dude. That's 147. Got 148. Right there. Got Daredevil going up against the Deathstalker. Ooh, Deathstalker, 148. 149. Up against the Smasher. 149. This is a pricey book, I guess. That's what the red dot means. The Deep. Yeah, I've never seen that. Anyway, 149. And we have the cover that was in an ad for so many books. And this is the first appearance of the Paladin. He's a mercenary character. Usually ends up working on the side of good, but gets off to a shaky start there. And that is issue 150, and that's the last one in this box. All right, so that's box number 43. Next time we will do box 44. We will be blindly making our way through Daredevil and getting to the second series of Daredevil. So hope you will come back, and I thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a great day.